Good evening, everyone. This is Gil with Gray Man Prepping. I got a guest with me tonight. Got Tammy, Rebel Canners. And let me go back over here so I can finish the intro because this isn't a normal way we do it. It's Survival Saturday. Tonight's topic is, come on, let's go. There we go. Elder parent care. So the reason I
and you froze.
The reason I specifically sent this to Tammy, because Tammy's had experience in the medical field. And I know there's someone else in the side chat too that pops in and out. And if you want to come up and not show your face, we can set you up like that so you can do that. And if you want to comment about some of the stuff on dealing with elder parents and stuff and caring for them. But first, let's say hi to everybody. All right, so first one in was Walt. I love his comment because I was talking to Walt yesterday about this. You know, we always take care of our own. We don't. He goes, we didn't know we could get paid for it. Thanks for the offline info. Yeah. And so that's part of what I'm going to be talking about tonight is how if you want to take care of about putting them into a really expensive adult care situation. There's several different of those you can do, depending on whether your parents are doing the just getting started routine with Morgan Freeman and Tommy Lee Jones. Great movie, I loved it. About a retirement home type situation, or whether you are, you can't take care of them, you got to put them into a hospice or whatever it is. We're going to talk about all that tonight. So let's move on. Next one in was Mother's Garden Club, then Phelan Clan Wolf, then Butch Graves from Colorado, Geeky Gardens from Florida, Kaylin Strain from Iowa, Tammy Harder's in the house. Angel's Homestead is on your side there. Seabass is in the house. All right. And those are all the ones making comments. If you're just lurking and watching, fine. At least check in and say like what was it? Where was it back here? I guess we'll back up to it. Yeah. Phelan just said lurking. I know he's listening and I know he's not going to be making comments. So that's it too.
Hit the thumbs up.
Yeah. Both of us on both our channels. All right. So all right, it's our fire healthcare workers, which was my last job. Right. She gets a little fast there on the texting on the phone. I got to decipher it, but it's cool. Sometimes my wife does the same thing.
Autocorrect hates me.
Yeah, well, hers wasn't even. It didn't even try to autocorrect. Several months back, I was talking about my mother-in-law falling and breaking her hip. Mm-hmm. And they had, stubborn woman that she is, I don't need to have a person coming in. Chris, he's talking to my wife. Chris, you're here. My wife's, you need somebody in here because I got to work. I still have to be doing my work. And she's one of the head accountants for the company she works for. And so she can't just suddenly take 3 weeks off.
Not this time of year.
Yeah. And so finally they got some people in and they, they were having, trying to find one that would mesh up with them and stuff. That's a whole nother problem is finding one that'll mesh up with the needs and the personality of parents, or in my case, in-laws. I'm just kidding. Oh, Kaylin had mostly elderly, but had some younger disabled clients as well too.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff we're going to talk about will work towards younger as well here once we get on certain things. So let me bring up the slides again. Okay. First question you got to ask yourself, should you consider being an elderly caregiver for a family member? I know with my grandmother, since she was my mom and dad were still living on the property with my grandmother. They did some of the care with her for a while till she got so bad that they couldn't do it, and they put her in a home, and a full care facility. And 6 weeks later, they knew the doctor said she ain't gonna be around much longer, so they put her in there. She was gone there. They didn't have to deal with a lot of the problems and stuff at the end. But when my dad got cancer the following year, he started out with lung cancer. They zapped that. Then it came back in his brain. They zapped that. He went back to work. And then several months later, it showed up in his kidneys. And that was it. Yeah. And so, but between my brother, who had by this point had torn down my grandmother's old house, built a new house on the front part of the property. So he was living there with his wife. My wife and I, we were 4 blocks away. So there was somebody, always around to help my mom out. And there were times like when I was driving the fuel truck, she would call the office down there and say, "Hey, I hate to do this. Is Gil in the area? His dad just fell out of the bed. I can't pick him up to get him back into the bed." And the boss would call me would call me and say, "Let's go to the side channel." And because we had multiple channels on the company radio, he goes, "Hey, you need to get home. Your dad needs your help." Great boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't make bosses like that anymore.
Yeah. All right. So should you consider being an elderly health caregiver? There is a silver lining to being one, and that's part of what we're going to start out with tonight. Okay, so there's ways you can get paid as a family caregiver. Medicaid programs have with consumer direction, and we'll talk a little bit about that. If your family member you're looking after has VA benefits, you can get some payment from there as well. There are also long-term insurance policies. If your parents happen to have that already, then that'll help it. Sometimes just funds from regular life insurance, and we're going to talk about variants on that as well. And then there are personal care agreements with other ones about it to get a little bit of money on that. The big one is the Consumer Directed Personal Assistant Program. Now this link here is down below in the description of mine. I sent the links to Tammy. I forgot to send it to her earlier. She'll add it to her description of her on her side as soon as we're done here.
After the live stream, I'll put
after the live stream. And I'm going to try, and I'm going to have to change something up here real quick. So I got to stop sharing. I got to let's see. Close that. All right. Go back in here to present, because if I try having the sound activated on the sharing screen during the countdown, sometimes it gets an echo in it. Just for some reason it does. And so now I'm going to redo it. Share, turn on the sound. Share, and it's going to pop that back up again. Okay, let me get these off to the side here. So they're out of my view there. And okay, this guy here has I have several of his videos saved on different things. Hopefully the sound is loud enough for you all to hear it. Little Known Prepper, welcome. Howie, Food Forest Permaculture.
Howie.
All right, so let's see what he says. It's a short one here, so hopefully it works. I forgot to do the volume.
Living home, do this instead. Hey, just quit my job. Why'd you do that? Don't you have bills to pay? Oh, no worries. I'm gonna get paid taking care of my elderly parents. Who's paying for that? The government. Oh, How much are you going to be making? $72,000 a year. What? Explain. So you know how the average cost of assisted living homes is like $60,000 a year? That's expensive. Yep, and I guess the government also thinks it's expensive because they came up with another option. It's called the Consumer Directed Personal Assistance Program, CDPAP. That's weird. Maybe just CDPAP. How does it work? It allows my dad to hire a caregiver of his choice. So you can just hire a family member? Yup. Now, the pay does vary. New York pays a lot, $72,000 a year, but the average around the country is closer to $42,000 a year. How did you even know this? I just follow John for all of the daily finance tips. Don't put that into an expense.
Okay. So let's switch this back. Go ahead and drop that down. So that's this first reel here. And that intrigued me, and I started looking around at several other ones. I found several different ones on it. And one of the other ones that shows up some good stuff is another program called the Home and Community-Based Services under 1915C, and we're going to listen to that one here. So let me bring that back up, and we will switch to the second tab here. Okay.
People have figured out how to get paid for the time they spend taking care of their aging parents. And since I'm Vivian, your BFF, and your favorite Wall Street girly, I'm going to let you in on the secret on how you can get paid to do this too. First up, HCBS 1915C waivers. These specific Medicaid waivers basically allow states to pay for care and support services for people residing outside of nursing homes. And a lot of them have an option called consumer direction. Basically, the person getting the care can pick where they get that care from, and they can choose to receive care from a family member. So in most cases, the adult child is paid the Medicaid approved hourly rate for home care. It's usually somewhere between $9 to $19.25 an hour. Option 2, long-term care insurance. Some LTC insurance policies let you use the benefits to pay your kid to care for you. Typically, these policies require care providers to be licensed, which seems kind of daunting, but are actually quite simple to register with the local authorities, especially if you've previously worked in the medical field. I hope this info helps you care for an aging parent, and let me know what questions you have and follow for more money tips. Rich people have...
Okay, so all right, and that's also like I said, both the links to both those are down below in my description. Tammy will be adding it to hers after we're done here. But Daniel Berry Sports Highlights just came in. So with those, if you can get the payment from the state for the Medicaid, and if the parent has the long-term health care insurance, it's going to be more than that 42,000. It's going to be going up there because you're going to be sort of double dipping. 8 hours from the one and 8 hours from the other one. But that's one of the things that you really could look into. And as far as doing, because that's one of the things my wife and I are talking about, that if her mom has to move in with us, that's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things my wife has also looked into, especially for up here, since we got 5 acres across the street and an acre on this side, is getting a temporary credit. I had it written down. I lost the paper. Basically, you get you can rent these it's like a single wide mobile home
pod.
Yeah. So, but it's a medical pod.
Yes, they have them set up so they're all completely handicap accessible. Even you can do totally wheelchair accessible, and so you can put them. Those are called handy pods, and you can put them on a cement slab. They're all plumbed, ready to go, and you just hook them up to any existing fixtures. Get an electrical hookup, and then hook to your sewer line that's already existing.
And that's one of the things we're looking to get put it here on the property here, and those pods are rentals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And actually, because I was asking the city if they'd ever heard about that. They hadn't heard of it. The attorney had heard about it. And then the next time I saw him at the next city council meeting, and so they asked me, have you come with any more information? I did find out it's covered under the it's partially covered under the Federal Disabilities Act.
Oh, nice.
So, as far as the cities can't ban them, they have to allow them. So Yeah. So there at first there was some pushback, and when I said that, they go, "Oh, so not just anybody can do it." No. It has to be covered. You know, it has to be a doctor's prescription on it. It has to be for an elderly person. It has to be for all the things that fall in for
Well,
it.
it doesn't necessarily have to be elderly if they're permanently handicapped.
Yeah, permanently handicapped. But I was looking at because I was looking at elderly, and I told them I was looking at so it has to be covered under certain things, and that's what it works on. So if you don't want your parent living with you, but you have a large enough property to plop one of these things down on, that's another thing to do, because basically that eliminates a big chunk of facility costs or taking care of them in their home, the taxes and stuff. Okay, there's so much information I want to get out here. I may get it all done in time, I may not. One of the things you can do is what my parents did. They set up a living trust. And they actually set up a irrevocable living trust, so they can't go in and change the property that was put into the living trust. I mean, they couldn't go in and change stuff. But the only thing they could do, they could change who was going to be the executor of the trust. And for a while, my sister was it until she moved down to Texas, and then since my after they got the one property got sold off and stuff, and we put up did a granny unit on our place. My mom was staying there, and all of a sudden, my mom was getting along better with my wife than she was her own daughter. I'm sorry, it just makes me so. I got a great wife. I just absolutely love her to death.
Chris is amazing.
Yeah. And so she changed it up, and she made Chris and I the executors, because Chris had gone and I started explaining all sorts of financial stuff. So she goes, "You're in charge. Gil's your backup." So those are things you can look into doing. What we're going to do, give you an example, what we're going to do with my mother-in-law, when it comes time where she needs to, she can no longer take care of herself in the house, and we got to set up one of these. They're going to, my wife's going to take care of the transfer, the quick deed transfer to a land trust for the home property, a irrevocable trust for the banking account that because my mother-in-law is getting a pension from her late husband. She's getting the Social Security. She's getting all these other things into that, and then her life insurance policy, the irrevocable trust, not the land trust, the irrevocable trust will be made the beneficiary instead of one of the kids. That way, it winds up being a tax-free payout of it. And so that's one of the things we're looking to do there. And then from the monies from the sale of the house, when she decides to sell it, she has to move somewhere else. That will pay for the med pod here. And when she comes up here, Chris is going to be retiring from her company, selling the house in California, putting the funds from it into a irrevocable trust for us. And she'll be coming up here and everything anyways. So, but yeah, trusts are one of the great things for protecting assets when dealing with an aging parent and a deceased parent, so that you don't lose everything in probate and everything else. You get it where everything, it doesn't belong to them anymore. Beforehand, it belongs to the trust. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the trust. The trust is the beneficiary, but you have control over how the trust pays stuff out. And there are some really great guys out there doing informational on it. Edward, I can't think of his name right now. He has some great ones. He usually brings up these other guys' videos on it, and he goes, yes, this is Edward verified. I get it. This is the way, and he goes through and explains, yes, it's this, and then he'll go, but there's a lot more to it than just the simpleness they say. There's certain nuances you have to do, certain steps you have to follow. And he recommends you get an attorney in your area that deals with trusts, LLCs, and S corps to work with them. And he goes, if you don't have one in your area that you can work with, then contact me. The guy's being totally transparent. Go to your local first. So Diana too just came in. So one of the things to MB Heritage just came in on your side.
Hi guys.
And so one of the things when you're figuring this out, there's listening to these guys talk about it, especially with the trusts and stuff. There's another thing. Hang on, I got to take this down on the side over here so I can bring up, so I can look at it, a document here, so I can give the right stuff for you. There's a thing called a indexed universal insurance policy, or a IUL, which is a tax-free life insurance policy that you can access the funds to at any time. Some of them, it's interest-free. If you pull money out to work with it and put it back in, basically you're borrowing against your insurance policy, and you put the money back in. It's interest-free, tax-free. Some of them have a pros. If you borrow against it, you have to pay 3% interest, but it goes back into the 3% interest goes into your amount. So basically, it's like you're paying it as into a savings thing, but generally most of those earn 7 to 8% annually. So if you pull money out, you're still gaining the interest on that money you pulled out above what you got to put back in. So you do different things with it. People do all sorts of different things. We're talking about leveraging the insurance policy to be able to develop a side hustle business. Set up where you need to get some 3D printers or whatever else, and you get a business going, and then you pay it back from the business. And that way the business is paying the loan back. So it's still tax-free money going in, and it's deducted off your whatever business you set up. But if you have one of those, you can leverage the money against that to pay for some of the expenses of taking care of that elderly parent, especially the policy if the policy is on them. So yeah, it lowers the death payout, but you get to use that money beforehand to take care of them and give them a better quality of life in the meantime. Let's see. Well, one of the things that they talk about doing is setting up, like if you set up a family trust, and you get life insurance policies on everybody, your parents, you, your kids, your grandkids. The irrevocable trust is the beneficiary for all of these insurance policies. That's what the Rockefellers did, and how that they used these to increase their money exponentially and to basically create a generational wealth bank of their own. And so that's one of the things you can do. If you get this, then you can use that to borrow money on that to take care of the elder care, even if you don't have enough of an insurance policy or long-term policy for the elder care. And some of these investment people are saying that the index universal life plan is better than a long-term health care plan, because the long-term health care plans don't cover as much as you can get on a simple IUL policy. Now, interesting things, if you haven't heard of these IUL policies, the federal government has banned the insurance companies from advertising them, and they're not even allowed to suggest them unless you ask them about it, because it's all tax free. The money you put into it is tax free, like a like an IRA or it's tax free money going in. Well, because of the way it's structured, it's also tax free coming out. That's why the federal goes, oh, you can't talk about it. Yeah, we let this through. You can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who in the side chat was or is a nurse as well. And dealing with a sick elderly parent is harder than one that just can't get around good.
My mom had a stroke. We had to take care of her, and then she fell and broke her hip because she was unsteady from her stroke. Go figure. And so we wound up taking care of her. We had promised we would never put her in a nursing home. She had worked as a nurse aide 70 years before I was born, like way before she passed away. And so she never wanted to be in a nursing home, and we promised her we wouldn't put her in a nursing home. So we kept our promise. Other than rehab, she was not in a nursing home.
And the mental outlook on a person being able to stay home or move in with children, or where they're not in a facility, where they still have it's a mindset of still being somewhat independent and not being shoved aside because you're with family, helps them so much as far as their mental state.
Well, at the end, because of her stroke, my mom was completely aphasic, could not talk. So, I mean, when you're laying in a bed in a nursing home and you can't advocate for your own care, you are an extremely vulnerable adult.
Yeah. Oh, our treasured homestead just came in on your side.
I hope she saw my video today.
So, when you're having to deal with a elderly parent that is not able to take care of themselves anymore, or you have a family member other than a parent, a spouse, a sister, a brother, a son, daughter, whatever, that is disabled for any number of reasons, rather than sticking them in the facility, you can get paid for taking care of them at home. And if you're like me, retired, that's great. Working on since my oldest grandson is very high on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum, and working on so I can become a relief caregiver for him. So my daughter gets a break. I get paid for it anytime I'm looking after Eli, because I'm giving her a break.
Now, back to the granny pod and handy pods. I saw where a family did that for their autistic son. They made a real tiny home, and it was very small like that, and they designed it. You would love the skill. It was a caboose. So they designed it to look like a caboose. They had the 3 windows, and she's like, when I saw it, it looked like a caboose. And they fenced it in so that he can't escape from the yard. He has a deck that's on the back that's totally private. He's an adult. His whole house is self-contained, and the only place he can get out of the yard is back into their house through they have a big 8-foot fence around it. So he has his own yard in their backyard.
Cool.
And those are really handy.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we're looking at to do here. We're just Chris and I keep going, where are we going to put it? Where are we going to put it? Where are we going to put it? And other than putting it on the driveway in front of the shop, because I got water on both sides of the driveway, and I got sewer hookups on both sides of the driveway. And I got off the shop. I got outside outlets that I can switch out. The wiring is enough to handle 50 amps.
There you go.
Yeah, and I also have natural gas there too.
You want it within walking distance, because I'm staying here at my nephew's and helping with my sister-in-law who is on hospice in the house in the back. But it's a cold walk in the middle of the night from here to back there if I have to go back and help.
One of the things
Michigan in the winter.
One of the things we're thinking about is on the west side of the house, where I've started expanding the garden area out that way too. If we need to, we'll just, level that out. And because basically, if we set it up right, it'll be come out of her house right under the back patio cover.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And they make the ones that have like the collapsible walls that they just fold up.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And yeah.
Yeah, some of those though, I've noticed, I've done some research on those. The ones that come flat and they fold up and stuff, they have a warning on them. If winds exceed a certain amount, you need to vacate just in case.
No. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So we're thinking like a nice 14-foot wide by 45 long or whatever, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, kitchenette, living room thing, just put it in right there, and then we're hooked up for her for a nice good way. My mom did get home health care after doing it in a rehab center. I would take on this role, but I would need a driver to take you to her apartment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And here in Michigan, we have a thing too called the Commission on Aging. I don't know if that's an institution that's in other states, but every county here in Michigan has what they call the Commission on Aging. They provide access to like Meals on Wheels, where they bring in meals every day or as needed, for elderly that don't have family that can take them meals. And they also provide the respite care. So they also hook you up with those community services that will provide respite care. So, but you do have to, some services you have to get a Medicare waiver for.
Yeah. And with the way this house is set up here, froze again. If needed, it'd be easy for me to put a handicap accessible wheelchair ramp in the back, where even if she's not in a wheelchair, she can use a walker if she needs to use a walker to get up and into our house if she needs to come into our house. But most of the time it's going to be the cell phone going, Chris, can you come out here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or intercom.
Why? It's so much simpler for a phone, for the phones now, cell phones now, than it is to wire an intercom. Plus, of course, the thing is though that neither my wife or her mom have thought about yet is the fact that at times Megan will be coming over here, leaving the boys in here with us, and she'll go out there with her.
Yeah.
So we have multiple people to go out there and help her. But and of course then there will be times where the grandkids want to go out there, and especially she has a kitty that's going with her now and everywhere, and so they love it because the cat was found here, and when she was visiting up here. I
remember the story.
Yeah, and so they got a cat. We got a cat carrier for her to go on the plane. It was just barely legal to go on the plane because it was so young, and yeah, so that's her companion right now, is that cat.
That's nice. And that's very important to keep them with their companion animals and things, because that provides a lot of emotional support for them. And a lot of times around here, we'll see where someone is being separated from their long-term animal companion, and it's really sad. I wish I could help them.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And we got
Yes. We have a Alzheimer's wing on a local nursing home, and they have designed the backyard like an English garden, and it has a 12-foot fence, but it's beautiful and very see-through. Like it's the wrought iron posts, but they don't have the crossbars where they can climb it. They're like,
Mhm.
I don't know how to describe it. And you can see through it. They can go in and out. There's no alarm on that door. They can go in and out. And there's benches, and it's got light posts. So even at night, there's a light for them, and they have the freedom to go outside. But the fence is so high, and it's not climbable, and it looks like you would see in England around somebody's fancy old estate. It's beautiful.
Yeah. President's question. And Claude Ortega came in on your side.
Oh, hi.
And was it, does anyone has any on how to plan? That sounds like a topic for Monday night.
That we'll make a Monday night topic out of it. Short answer is the Bob Blue Book does have low sugar and low sodium special recipes. I do some low sugar or no sugar recipes as well that I've made available from time to time. And I've done some videos in my playlist. I should make a playlist of those videos for you. I will try to do that this week where I put them all in a playlist, and I will try to message you through YouTube, and if you have it available.
I'm
But you could also
I'm
go on my Facebook group, which is Rebel Canners, the one with the black banner. I'll put the link in this video when I get done with here. And ask, and a lot of people will help with that. Because there's so many different, are you on a low potassium kidney restriction diet? Are you on a diabetic diet? Are you on a low sodium diet? So there's a lot of different dietary restrictions. I'm not sure which one you're looking for there.
Yeah. All right. So I set that up for February 10th.
February 10th. So Claude Ortega, February 10th, we will do that on both our channels.
Yeah. And that'll be starting at 8:00 Eastern time on Mondays. So,
email me at rebelcanners@gmail.com and with some more specifics, and I will try to help you more specifically.
yeah. That thank you, Claude, for bringing that up, because that's something that, in all.
And you froze.
Anna froze. All the things we've been doing for the last year and 3 months now on canning and stuff, that was one we hadn't considered. And I'm ashamed. Ashamed.
It's a great idea. We should have planned it to go along with this one. So I went to that first aid and advanced CPR and wilderness first aid for people who are taking groups of children into the wilderness, hiking and away from civilization. And one of the things they pointed out that I had never thought about, and the clock is ticking, I'm getting to that age. Anybody over 60 should have baby aspirin, 81 milligram aspirin, in their medicine cabinet. Because what is the number 2, 3 killer in the United States of adults?
Poisonous food.
Heart attacks.
Caused by poisonous food.
Myocardial infarction, cardiac arrest. Obviously, by the time you get to cardiac arrest, the aspirin's not going to be doing you much good until they bring you back. But everybody, so if you call 911 because you're having symptoms, they're going to tell you to take a baby aspirin. You should have it available in your cabinet. Aspirin, unfortunately, is one of those things that does expire. You should not take it past the expiration date. So don't go out and buy 12 bottles of baby aspirin unless you're taking it pretty heavy under the direction of your doctor. But you should have You know, you can buy those little small packets from the gas station that just have a couple in it.
Yeah.
You know, and have some available. And I had never thought about that. And I've been in this healthcare field for longer than I'm going to say to incriminate my age.
I'm looking something up here for you on this. Okay, here we go. Boom. Okay, depending on the size you get, it can be as low as $2.50 or 36 count at Albertsons. The 120 count at Walmart, St. Joseph's Chewable. I mean, that's my mom used to get so mad at us because my brother and I, we were about,
they
5,
they
6.
tasted so good. They were orange. I know where you're going.
Oh, I got a headache.
Now, obviously, because of Reye's syndrome and the risk associated with aspirin and children, you need to keep this up and out of the way of children like Gil, who, like when Gil was a kid, who will take it and can get Reye's syndrome or poisoning from it. But most elderly people have a medicine cabinet already. They're keeping stuff.
Yeah.
And you're not elderly when you're 60. I want to clarify that. But 60 or older, you should have it. And Walmart's off-brand, I looked it up today, is $1.82 for that same size.
At 50, I was still out running all the scouts at scout camp. All of the scouts.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But MIs are the silent killer, because sometimes you can be a marathon runner and it can happen to you.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're in that age range, make sure you have it available. So if you call 911 and they say, give it to them, you have it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we covered that. So one of the things I wanted to make sure we cover tonight is planning. Start planning now what you're going to do, because if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail when it comes to your parents. So think about it, talk about it, go to find an attorney that deals with trusts and LLCs and S corps and all that. And generally, you can get a free half-hour consultation just to come in, cover some stuff, and then they'll provide everything there right here. Now we can. What do you want to do? Right, we can work on that. Sign on the line. We'll do this, and they'll they can work on setting you up. A good financial protection for you and your parents is paramount. And putting any property owned by your parents not in your name, put it in a trust name and get it transferred before they pass away. That way there's no probate taxes, no inheritance taxes on it, because it's transferred to the trust and it stays in the trust. Most of Rockefeller's property is still in that original trust.
Yeah.
It hasn't been broken. And so, generations, they just keep using it and doing the same thing. Yeah. It's
Oh, yes, exactly. And I actually get CPR trained every year because of my volunteer work at one place. I'm required to do this class I just took that is a 3-day class plus online. And then for my volunteer work at another place, they're on the opposite year schedule. So I get 2 certifications from one place and 2 certifications from another place every year. You can't practice CPR too much, because when you actually have to go and do it, you need that muscle memory. You need that confidence, because there's a shock factor when you first have to do it. And if you have to do it on a family member, there's even more of a shock and a paralyzing, and that's normal. And then you just get into doing it. And so you cannot do CPR too much.
And most of the classes I took, they were teaching it to a certain song, a
Yes.
Bee Gees song.
Staying alive, staying alive.
Staying alive,
Boom, boom.
staying
Well,
alive.
yeah, and now they have the CPR dummies that tell you exactly how far you're pushing down, and if you're within the 100 to 120 for an adult beats per minute, and it goes right to an app that you load onto your phone, and you can actually see it. And that's the other thing that I did not realize when somebody was telling me this weekend, that if you hold the 9 button on your phone down long enough, it will call 911 automatically, and hopefully put it on speakerphone. So you can actually have 911 on speakerphone with you while you're assessing your person that has collapsed.
Yeah, the last time I did it, they had gotten the new high tech ones. They had a printout, a big old roll of like grocery store receipt paper.
Oh, those are so long ago.
Hey, California was slow in giving money to organizations other than the Red Cross to get those.
I got to plug in. I'll be right back.
Yeah. And yeah, so there was, like I said, there are a bunch of them. That's one of the things I got to go take the Red Cross course so I can become certified to be a relief caregiver for my grandson, so my daughter can take breaks from him when he's home from school, when he starts getting on her nerves. And but, of course, he's spending any time he can get out of the house, he comes over here to Grandpa's, because Grandpa has a couple of cases of printer paper, and he gets paper out and he just starts drawing on it. So that's the thing, is you got to plan for whoever it is, whether it's the elderly or whether it's young cousins, whatever, that needs help. And if it falls under the multi-thing umbrella here, covering for elderly, for anybody disabled and stuff like that, why do it for free when you can do it anyways and get paid for it?
Yeah. And even if you, for whatever reason, maybe you're getting your own pension and you don't need that payment, you can still use that money to put into their care. So why would you turn that down, if you can do it?
Yeah. So do your research, check with your county, or if they say, well, I got to go to the state to do it. Find out what you need to do, find out what's required. If they have a long-term care insurance policy, find out what is required to be a healthcare provider on that policy, so you can go down and whatever if it's go down, you got to have CPR, you got to have this, and you got to have that real easy class, an 8-hour class here, 16-hour class there, and then go get signed off on it.
Also, from a hospital standpoint, make sure that you have, a living, your power of attorney set up, your living will, your wishes, whatever those are. It doesn't mean like, even if you are a do not resuscitate, those are super important to have in place. If you're passing from something terminal and you don't want them to resuscitate you and put you through that horrible trauma of, CPR and bring you back to die again. Make sure that's in place. Also make sure that you file that with your local 911 dispatch so that they know and they can inform any person responding to a call at that home of that person's wishes. So that, if your loved one is living alone, they know they don't, and they honor the person's wishes. They can't honor it if it's not on file with the local agencies. Right. And that's where places like Commission on Aging should help.
This is a perfect example of getting something set up so you have everybody certified, and that way you can do it in shifts and everybody gets paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have the day shift, I have the swing shift, I have the graveyard shift, and that way
And
Yeah.
this came into play too. My brother, because he was the financial power of attorney, I was the medical power of attorney. I had physical custody of my mother, and he only had custody of the checkbook. And so when it came down to making her medical decisions, because I had a medical history, she wanted me to do those. And we couldn't agree. Well, I have because of the medical power of attorney, the papers were filled through the hospital. I had the last say on her medical. He just had to write the checks, and he wasn't happy about that. So especially if there's where you're not going to be in total agreement, make sure you understand how those paperworks work, those set up.
I always wondered about this. So if they're in surgery and they, slip, they need to keep on, I guess
Yes
depending
and
on
no.
the state.
I can
Depending on
answer
the
this
state.
one. Yes and no. Generally speaking, those are not good during the time when you're in and out of surgery. But that as soon as you leave the recovery room, that can be put back in place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think Mother Garden is talking about while you're in
yes, I know, but
the room.
23 years working in surgery. I'm
Yeah.
It's a gray line too. We hate those when we see those come in. Yes, exactly. Splitting the work reduces the stress on everybody.
And that's why I said if you got like Lil and Prepper was saying that they got, two other sisters and herself, everybody takes a shift, and that way it's,
Yeah.
Nothing may happen on your shift. You just may be sitting there, doing other things, doing your side hustle, knitting or sewing or whatever with them. I mean, I know what's going to happen when she first comes up here. She's going to have Chris move all her sewing stuff out into her pod in the living room so they can work together sewing and quilting. I know that's going to happen.
Yeah, she's going to need a 2-bedroom pod, one for the craft room.
So yeah, that's but those are all things to consider. I'm going to have to do just a little short video on the UAL so I can put in the description of that. So here, let me show you what I mean. Everything here in green, the first one, money protection lawyer on it, what he says about it, all the different things, selling the house to a trust with a quick claim deed, make trust the owner, not just the beneficiary, custodial Roth and child, all the things you can set up. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on this stuff.
Yeah.
And now just about all of them say get with an attorney. If you don't have an attorney, then you can, the ones that are attorneys say you can contact them, and they'll either do it to you long distance or put you in contact with an attorney they trust in your area as well. So I like the ones that say we'll try to get you an attorney local to you. Those guys are putting you ahead of them.
Yeah.
All right. I think we covered everything. Any questions, guys? Any other questions we haven't talked? Any question you have about, parent care and stuff like that we haven't discussed on this? Documenting the care provided will make the process more transparent, less chance of mistakes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me step over here. All right.
And this is a thing that divides families sometimes. So make sure that you have your wishes in place and don't put your families in that situation where they are going to argue.
Okay, doesn't look any more questions coming up. All right, so coming up here Monday on my other channel, Camp Pet and Family Compound, Tammy, I'll be joined by Mark at Chef Tech, and the topic for Monday night is preserving ingredients.
Yes.
So so basically you're preserving all the different type of ingredients. That way you not have to making all your soup mixes. You can do everything except so you can shift, move, whatever, and give you more flexibility. Tuesday back here on for Tactical Tuesday and Gray Man Prepping is weather alert radio confusion. We're going to try to straighten that out for you. And the neat thing about it is there's an app for it now.
Oh, ooh, okay.
Yes.
Be here Tuesday.
Smartphones are actually becoming useful for something, in my opinion. Thursday night is the midnight riding with Gray Man Prepping. Friday night on the homestead on Camp Patton Family Compound. The topic is auto software hacking, and this was also a recommendation by somebody in the side chat here. And then next Saturday is when I'm going to have to be dancing around. So I'm going to be using code words on Saturday because the platform is getting picky again about saying certain words dealing with and things like that. And basically it's has to do with the chickens and what they're going through. Well, what certain government things are saying they're going through. So it's going to be kind of a conspiracy Saturday next Saturday, trying to dance around it and get in and talk about. And what's interesting is I found some reels where some people, some different ones are talking about, including a vet talking about natural herbal remedies for killing it in 48 hours.
Nice.
So that's what we'll be talking about next Saturday.
I am going to try to go live on Thursday, and I may be doing something on Friday. So watch for those 2 days.
All righty. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Remember, stay happy no matter what life throws at you. Stay safe. Don't go out and do anything foolish. Keep adding to your preps. Water, food, medicine, clothing. Get your medical situation in hand properly. Learn a new skill and grow something indoors. Take care, everyone.